Senator Barack Obama today officially opted out of the presidential campaign public financing system, and Senator John McCain today immediately declared Obama had, quote, completely reversed himself and gone back not on his word to me, but the commitment he made to the American people. But in our fifth story, Obama's promise, even just taken on face value, was to accept public financing if his Republican opponent had agreed to do the same. Senator McCain had in essence been running his general election campaign on private funds, not public financing, since he became the presumptive nominee on March 4th. McCain late this afternoon said he had just decided to switch to public funding, but to quote Jesse Jackson's old self-caricature on Saturday Night Live, the question is moot. On November 27th of last year, with Senators Obama and Edwards, the only respondents, the Midwest Democracy Network released the results of its presidential candidate questionnaire. Question number 1B asked, if you are nominated for president in 2008 and your major opponents agree to forego private funding in the general election campaign, will you participate in the presidential public financing system? Obama's response began with him checking the box marked yes. But his major opponent, McCain, had not yet agreed to the premise of the question to, quote, forego private funding in the general election campaign. Since late last year, McCain has been involved in an intricate dance with the Federal Election Committee, possibly involving breaking a few laws, getting a campaign loan based on opting in for primary funding, then opting out, then saying he was leaning towards opting back in, which would seem to make McCain's outraged umbrage today about Obama, quote, he said he would stick to his agreement, he didn't, at best, self-incriminating, and at worst, disingenuous.
You know, this election is about a lot of things. But it's also about trust, and it's also whether you can take people's word. Because when you campaign for the highest office in the land, you make certain commitments to the American people. And if you're not even willing to keep one that is as impactful in a political campaign as his decision to finance his own campaign and completely contradict his solemn pledge, I think should be disturbing to all Americans.
Yet even ignoring the straightforwardness of an if-then question when the if had not happened, the rest of Obama's lengthy and nuanced answers has been left by the wayside. Under the yes box, his comments, limited to 250 words or less, and one gets the feeling he felt limited indeed. They read, I have been a long-time advocate for public financing of campaigns, combined with free television and radio time as a way to reduce the influence of moneyed special interests. I introduced public financing legislation in the Illinois State Senate, and I'm the only 2008 candidate to have sponsored Senator Russ Feingold's bill to reform the presidential public financing system. In February 2007, I proposed a novel way to preserve the strength of the public financing system in the 2008 election. My plan requires both major party candidates to agree on a fundraising truce, return excess money from donors, and stay within the public financing system for the general election. My proposal followed announcements by some presidential candidates that they would forego public financing so that they could raise unlimited funds in the general election. The Federal Election Commission ruled the proposal legal, and Senator John McCain has already pledged to accept this fundraising pledge. And the operative conclusion, if I am the Democratic nominee, I will aggressively pursue an agreement with the Republican nominee to preserve a publicly financed general election. On his website, Senator Obama today explaining why he is opting out of this form of public financing.
The public financing of presidential elections, as it exists today, is broken, and we face opponents who become masters at gaming this broken system. John McCain's campaign and the Republican National Committee are fueled by contributions from Washington lobbyists and special interest PACs. And we've already seen that he's not going to stop the smears and attacks from his allies running so-called 527 groups, who will spend millions and millions of dollars in unlimited donations.
Senator Obama attesting that his groundbreaking fundraising operation amounts to a new kind of public financing system.
You fueled this campaign with donations of $5, $10, $20, whatever you can afford. And because you did, we've built a grassroots movement of over 1.5 million Americans. So join me and declare your independence from this broken system, and let's build the first general election campaign that's truly funded by the American people.
By the way, that Midwest Democracy Network asked the same if-then question that started this dispute, the one about public financing, to all 5 candidates still in the race as of the end of February of this year. Senator Obama repeated that lengthy, wonkish answer. The other 4 didn't even bother to answer, including Senator McCain. Time now to call on our own Howard Fineman, senior Washington correspondent for Newsweek magazine. Good evening, Howard.
Hi, Keith.
Mr. McCain has tried to make this about Obama's word, and he sounded a little bit like the bride jilted at the altar or something here. But it seems that Obama fulfilled that word. He agreed to negotiate the thing with McCain. Obviously, that didn't work. Is the McCain version of this dependent on really severe oversimplification of this whole thing?
Keith, this just proves to me once again that there's nothing that gets in the way of honest discussion in politics like the topic of fundraising.
Yeah.
It's just, you got to sort through all the mess here. First of all, John McCain does not come into this court with clean hands, as you pointed out in the piece that you just did. I mean, he gamed the system in the primaries, let's face it. First, he was for public financing to get him through the hard times. Then he jettisoned it when he really decided he wanted to try to run a general election campaign in March through June, which he's done. So he's gone back and forth on that himself. And in Senator Obama's case, let's be frank here, when he was still running against Hillary Clinton, his people, in arguing to the superdelegates, said, look, we have tremendous fundraising potential here. We can raise money off the internet. That's what we really want to do. And as far as the aggressive negotiations here, it cuts both ways. On the one hand, if you read the document carefully that you just showed on the screen, what Obama's talking about aggressively negotiating is his whole plan to keep the system alive. He was not talking about the pledge that he made earlier on, the conditional one. On the other hand, it's clear that the Obama people didn't really want to deal with McCain. They didn't want to deal, and frankly, neither did the McCain people. So it's been a kind of dumb show here going on the last few weeks. Now they both have the system they really want.
Well, the timing of this also, it confuses me. Did McCain stall on his final decision on public financing to make Obama go first and thus be able to make him, in the simplified world, really look bad? I mean, because it seemed awfully strange that Obama made his announcement today and then McCain suddenly announced yes late this afternoon. Yeah. There were no cameras present. There's been no press release, apparently. It's just the whole thing, right. The timing of it. Explain that to me.
Yeah, but here's what I think happened. First of all, it's no secret that Obama was going to do this. He signaled this back in April. So he's been taking some hits for it since then. I don't think there was much expectation that McCain would ever get out of the public financing system for the fall because he's got trouble raising money from traditional Republican donors. So I think everybody knew Obama was going to do this. I think McCain was going to attack. I think they forgot to file the papers. I think they didn't realize until the end the point that you made about the conditional nature of Obama's promise in that questionnaire from last year.
When people wag a finger at the media and say, in trying to be balanced, sometimes we actually give the same credence to the truth and the not so much truth. Is this the sort of thing they're talking about? I mean, I understand this is complicated and people don't want to hear complicated and it's nuanced and you have to go through it and read a really long, wonkish statement from one guy. But I heard Charlie Gibson tonight call this a clear reversal by Obama, and George Stephanopoulos chimed in with, it's a flip-flop, and I just thought, well, God, you guys have bigger IQs than that. Can't you read the whole paperwork?
Well, look, I do think that to some extent it goes against the grain of what Obama has been arguing, except for the fact, I think his strongest argument is the one that you alluded to before, that this is a form of public financing in the sense that he does have a genuine grassroots movement, and he is proposing a sort of net-based alternative to collecting taxpayer money for public financing. It is a form of public financing in that sense, and I don't think that's an argument he should shy away from. So, sure, I mean, he's doing what's required to try to win this election because the Republicans are going to have the 527 groups, although interestingly, the most active 527 group right now is one supporting Obama. But that's just the beginning of what's going to happen in the rest of the year. So I don't think of it as a 180-degree reversal. I think of it as a recognition of reality and one he's been signaling for a long time. This guy cares about changing the system. Paradoxically, in his mind, and I think to some extent he's right, this is what he has to do to try to change the system.
Howard Fineman of MSNBC and Newsweek, who will never shy away from nuance and subtlety and explanation. And as always, sir, great thanks.
Thank you, Keith.